Good morning, Flosstube. It's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I want to wish everyone a very happy Easter. I hope you've found some small way today to celebrate this very special holiday. I woke up this morning to a call from this guy right here. A lot of you have left messages and comments to ask and inquire about how Jacob is doing. He's happy and healthy. They have many of the same restrictions that we have here within the States. He cannot leave his room unless it's for work or medical appointments or to pick up groceries. But overall, he's following the guidelines just like most of us are doing. And he has no complaints. He's so positive. And it was the perfect way to wake up on this Easter morning is to get to talk to my son. He was originally to come home here in April. He's going to be transitioning to a new facility in Montana. And of course, with everything that's going on here, that has changed. And he will not be coming home until July this year. And even that is just a tentative date. So just know, for all those that have asked, thank you so much. But he is happy and healthy and doing very well. This week I've gotten a good bit of stitching done because just like most of you, I'm under stay-at-home orders from my state government. And I tell you, I am really enjoying just being home because I'm always on the go, run, do. And most of the home things I put off for other things. So I've had a lot more stitching time. I'm cooking lots of good meals, not necessarily the healthiest meals, but I'm eating more rounded meals than I normally eat, and Clint and I are enjoying that. So I'll have to do a little more walking when I can. But so I've gotten a good bit of stitching time, and I've continued to work on and keep track of my stitches in my Needlework Press 2020 Book of Days. And I've showed before, I'm using stickers just to mark where I have been stitching and what I'm stitching on, and the shamrocks still indicate the fall. I've touched on the baby sampler just a few times, and that's the little duck. And also I have worked on Karoline Beringer. My friend Donna of D Squared had challenged me to do we challenged each other to do 2 letters a day, and I have kept up with that and have made a lot of progress, which I'll show you shortly. I've indicated that with just a plain old ABC, and as you can see right here, there's one day that I doesn't show that I stitched on the fall, but this is another stitch along that I'm participating in with Jen of Jen's Stitching Niche. We started Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Design 2 years ago. I had to look through my Instagram photos to see, and neither of us have finished the piece, so we decided that we would pick that back up and work on it on Friday. So on Fridays I will be working on that piece with her. And this is my book of days, and I'm very much enjoying this. This is the first year that I have ever bought this book. I have, prior to this, kept up with my stitching in just a regular notebook. But I just like that this is just for my stitching, not for my appointments or anything else going on to keep track of birthdays. This is just for my stitching. So what I've worked on this week is continue to work on is going to be the Fall by Barbara Anna Designs. And this is it right here. So last week I had finished up that right hand side with the girl with the flipper hands, and this week I have moved to this side. I have put in this banding and the small motifs underneath. I have almost completed the front yard of the home and this basket of turnips. So I have at this point finished, I would say, approximately 4 pages, and there are 8. My goal, and it is a rough goal because there's still a lot of stitching left. My goal is to have this part mostly completed by the end of this month. I don't know that if or when I can do that, but I have some other plans coming up, and I'll share with you in a minute. But this right now is my focus piece. So tonight I will pick this back up and hopefully finish that yard and move on to the tree of tree of knowledge that'll be right below this basket of turnips. So there's that. And as I said, I'm also working on Karoline Beringer, which is a stitch along with my friend Donna of D Squared. We're doing 2 letters a day. This piece is stitched with Weeks I Work wools, and this is the pattern right here. It is a fun stitch. I do get a lot of questions still about the wool threads. I've had suggestions from other stitchers that maybe I could use a larger needle, larger eyed needle, and I already use shorter threads, but I am getting used to stitching with the wools. I really love the color saturation of these wool threads, but I don't know that I would purposely stitch with them again. I think I would opt for the cotton threads. That's just my opinion because some of you have asked for it. But I would suggest too that you just give them a try for yourself, because my likes is definitely not necessarily going to be your likes. But as you can see, I have finished up the 3rd and 4th rows of letters, because even though we're only committing to 2 letters a day, sometimes it's a small letter, so you have leftover thread, and I go ahead and put that into the next letter that has that color. Or I just finish up my threads is pretty much what I'm saying. So there are days that I do a little more than 2. There's days I do 3. Just depends on the colors I'm using and how large the letters are. So this week my plan is to finish up the next row. And this one is definitely going to be an April finish, depending on how far I get in the next week and a half. It will be really close to being finished. I think there's a total of, let's see, 2, 4, 6, there's 8 rows. So I'm halfway now. So even if I don't get to that finish doing the 2 letters a day, I will push myself at the end of the month to get this finished. And this is a whip from 2018. So that also stays on the course of my working on my whips and finishing some of the whips in 2020. This next piece is, like I said, is a stitch along that I'm doing with Jen of Jen's Stitching Niche. This is Birds of a Feather. I can see from other floss tubers they're saying that this is an out of print pattern. Jen and I started this stitch along in 2018 as part of Mania that year, and this is where I'm at. The flower motifs here, they remind me of lollipops when you look at it. They're beautiful colors. I'm using the DMC versions. And I'm loving this fabric that I've chosen to start this on. It's a mystery fabric. I really wish I knew what fabric it was and who sells this fabric, because I would definitely buy more. It's a little thicker. The vertical and horizontal threads are a little thicker, and so it feels there's not a lot of open holes in this piece. It's an uneven. It's some type of linen, because it's definitely not an even weave, but I just really love it. But this is where I am, and as I said, on this piece, I will be working on it strictly on Fridays with Jen. And we got to chat just a little bit, just to show each other our work, where we started, where we ended, and I enjoyed that this week. Now, I have a few plans. I didn't want to make starts this year, and I do want to participate in Mania, and starting some of my kitted up projects is not necessarily what I want to do. I don't want to do big things. Big things are what I love most. Medium and large patterns are just my thing. But this year, with everything going on around us, and we have the Be Well and Stitch movement, I printed off several of the Be Well freebie patterns coming from all the many of the designers that are coming out on Instagram and on Facebook daily. And I want to say a thank you to all the designers for taking the time and using all your creative powers just to throw these freebie patterns out there to us. I think that they're beautiful. There's so many. I printed these off last week, and the site that I found them, someone had taken the time and put them all in one place at that time, and there were 52. I know that more have come out this week. So my plan is to just dig into my fabrics and pull out enough to start a few of these Be Well and Stitch, hashtag Be Well and Stitch freebie patterns. So that's what my mania will be. Or there's one other thing. I found this old, it's Dale Burdett. This is an old book of Christmas ornaments. And it's going to be really hard for you to see them, I think, here. But there are things like old gas lanterns, old mantle clocks. There's an old sampler. I wish I could show them to you. There's a spinning wheel. There's a gas desk lamp, an old eagle door knocker, a wash bowl. And my plan is this Christmas, I've been collecting kitchen utensils, the old red painted wood and green painted wood kitchen utensils when I go out thrifting. And I'm going to have a bottle brush tree in my kitchen with those items on it, and I'm going to be stitching a lot of the these older ornaments. Now, if I don't do the Be Well and Stitch, I will do these and finish those up for the tree for this year. I will finish these up as well. I have an idea of how I want to do all these, but those are my two options for Mania. So what do you think? What would you do? Help me decide which one I want to do. But there's that. And I also want to announce that I'm going to be starting a stitch along. I was going to start it on May 1st, but I don't think that's going to give everyone time to gather the little supplies that are going to be needed. And you've got Mania in the mix as well. So let's make a start of June 1st. And this is at a suggestion from Leslie Reinhardt, who left a comment on one of my stashing videos about a pattern that I have that she also has, and asked if I would let's stitch it together. So I thought I would open that up to everyone here on Flosstube that watches my channel. And the piece that I've chosen, or Leslie and I have chosen, is the Needlework Sampler by Sue Hillis. I've pulled some of the threads. I have all of them but one. There's only 16 threads. It calls for DMC, and those are the colors. I hope they're coming out true on the video. They're very pretty. They're muted tones. And I'd like to say that Jen of Jen's Stitching Niche, I had contacted her. She has this in her Etsy shop for you to purchase. And I will link her below in the description box, so you can go there. I may link directly to the pattern. So we'll start this on June 1st. And if any of you have ever ordered from Jen before, know that Jen is lickety-split with getting her orders out. I mean, I can order something, and within just a few hours, I've already got a notice in my Etsy notification. So there's this. And like I said, once again, these are the patterns. There's 16 DMC colors. They are not the obscure DMC colors. They are the common ones, like the 758s and the 927s and 26s, the 356, which is usually used in skin tones and those kind of things, cheap colors. So no, most of these colors you're going to have on hand. The pattern is 129 by 185 stitches, and it finishes up on a 28 count by 10 1/4 by 14 inches. It also has some charms on here as well. They weren't listed when Jen reached out to see if they were available by her distributor as well. There's also some buttons. So there are squares that are not stitched. So if you have some antique buttons on hand, they're here. You can use some of those antique buttons. There's a heart charm, a scissor and thimble charm, and 2 other heart charms. I did take a small gander at Amazon, and I found a couple of charm packs that were a little different, but they had the scissors, they had mostly sewing implements. So I thought that I would link those below as well if you want to take a look at those to see if they're of interest to you, if you decide to do the stitch along with us. And I also, the piece calls for Zweigert 28 count cashel linen, but I picked up a piece of lamb's wool, and I want to show you how the colors look on that lamb's wool. So once again, that's the Needlework Sampler, and I will link the charms and the link to Jen's Etsy shop down below. Also know that Becky from SockforMum has also agreed to do a floss ring for us for this pattern. I took a few pictures of my tomato collection earlier this week, sent them to Becky, and if you follow me on Instagram, earlier this week, like I said, there is a picture of some of my tomatoes, my tomato pincushion collection. That is going to be one of the 2 floss rings that are available for purchase at Becky's shop, SockforMum on Etsy, for the floss ring for the threads for this piece. I will link both Jen and Becky's Instagrams below, their Flosstubes, as well as their Etsy shops for these pieces and the charms that could possibly work for it from the Amazon. So there's that. And now, because I'm doing the tomato pincushions, this project envelope that I made last week is going to house my threads and my pattern and everything for that project. So I'm excited about that. And then another Flosstube watcher suggested that she and I stitch this piece together. So I thought maybe later in the year, maybe late summer, after I've finished Needlework Sampler and the stitch along, that we can stitch Flossie. The pattern is actually hand charted. I don't know if this pattern's still available. I know several of you have it. This pattern is by The Heart's Content, which is Maureen Appleton. And I'm going for this color. I think I'd like to stitch it on over 1, maybe on a 28 count, but we'll see. And also I've got a couple of giveaways after doing those stash dives. I did find that I have a couple things that I'd like to give as a giveaway. Excuse me. I had purchased this piece, and then someone actually gifted me one as well, so I have 2, and I'd like to throw this one out there as a giveaway. This is Wishing Thee Merriness Cinnamon Stick Christmas 18 by Homespun Elegance. It's just the pattern. And if you're interested in this piece, please, this will be for U.S. residents only. Just mention something below about being merry. And I also have this pattern. It's a hindsight pattern. And it just says stitch. And it comes with the charms. So there is a charm for each letter of the alphabet, each letter used in the word. So there's 6 charms. And it's just a pattern. So if you're interested in that, let's see. It's going to storm here today. Mention something about spring rain. So spring rain, and mention something about Mary. I will go ahead. The past few giveaways that I've done, I have not really issue. I've had a problem with people responding to the comments when I leave a comment on their comment. They don't get back because we watch so much Flosstube. I don't know if it's a situation where people don't know to look in their notifications for a response from a Flosstuber. But if you don't refer back to your comments, then you're not going to know that you've won the giveaway. And the last 4 notifications I have sent out, I have gotten no response. So I will be having another giveaway next week for a couple of items that I tried to give away over a month ago. And so please, if you enter this giveaway, come back and look Saturday morning of next week. I will be announcing the winners on Sunday, and I will be choosing the winners Friday night while I'm stitching on Birds of a Feather. So if you're interested, make sure you're entering by this coming Friday night, and look for a response just in case you're the winner on next Saturday. And I will be announcing the winners next Sunday. So just mention being Mary in your comment if you're interested in this piece, or Spring Rain if you're interested in this piece. So the rest of the day, we're expecting some rain, and I have a whole bowl full of my zinnia seeds from last year. So I plan on getting outside in my little garden and doing a lot of weeding and trimming up some bushes. My daylilies are already blooming. We've already saw a couple of sneaky snakes in the backyard, so they're already running. We've got a few bird nests around the house, and this time of year, I love to be outside. It's when the weather is perfect. It's cool and the wind is blowing even though the sun is shining. So I love to feel the sun on my skin and just see nature working, the birds and the bees and everything's so lush and green. It's just a beautiful time to be outside. I also took some time this week and I've been doing some spring cleaning in the house, and I made a lot of thread drops. And these are all from old thank you notes and birthday cards, and just cards that I've received in the mail for one thing or another. And I have been real careful that when I punch out the cards, I don't punch out where there's writing, where there's ink, for worry that possibly over time the ink will saturate the cotton threads. So I've got to finish punching these because these are going to come in very useful over the months of the year, with my stitching. So there's that. And I'm going to continue to work on the fall because that's my focus piece. But until next time, everyone, have as I said, happy Easter. I hope you enjoy this day. And in the coming week, that you get rest and relaxation, that you stay healthy and safe. Hugs and stitches, everyone. Bye-bye.